Hey everyone, welcome to the video. My name is Dwayne Thomas. I'm the author of Visual Latin and the English vocabulary series Word Up, which you can find linked down below. We've been reading through Asterix the Gaul together, and we're learning English words by reading this comic strip together. We've been learning a few of the characters. We've talked about Asterix and Obelix. We've talked about the druid, and we've talked about the bard. And now we're going to talk about the chief of the tribe. He's over here in a green shirt. He has a red mustache and red braids. And he has a helmet, and it appears to have feathers. Feathers are parts of the wing of a bird. It appears to have feathers sticking out of his helmet. He's standing on a shield, and two of his men, two of his soldiers, two of the villagers, are carrying him on this shield. His soldiers are wearing a purple shirt. This one on the left has a purple shirt. That's my left. And this one on the right has a light blue shirt. Okay, so we're finally meeting the last character in the story, and his name is Vital Statistics. So I'll read this, and then we'll go over some of the things in here. Finally, Vital Statistics, the chief of the tribe. Majestic, brave, and hot-tempered, the old warrior is respected by his men and feared by his enemies. Vital Statistics himself has only one fear. He is afraid the sky may fall on his head tomorrow. But as he always says, tomorrow never comes. Okay, as always, there is a play on words. This chief, his name is Vital Statistics, which sounds a little bit like an ancient Gallic word, a word from ancient Gaul. Asterix sounds like a word from ancient Gaul. Obelisk sounds like a word from ancient Gaul. But of course we know Asterix means little star, and he's the little star of the story. Obelisk means menhir or standing stone, and he's always delivering menhirs or standing stones. Get a Fix, we talked about his name, is a drug reference or an alcohol reference. If someone, or a cigarette reference, if someone needs a cigarette, they need to get a fix. We talked about that. And then this guy's name is Vital Statistics. Vital Statistics are stats or statistics or numbers or charts that are important. Vital comes from the Latin word vita, meaning life. This is where we get words like vitamin and vital signs. Vitamins help us live a better life. Our vital signs, like breathing and pulse, the pumping of the blood in our veins, tell us that we're alive. I used to be a paramedic, and we would check people's vital signs when we responded to an accident scene. Their vital signs are their signs of life. Vital statistics are important stats that we use in life. If you're buying a house, the vital statistics are how many houses have sold in this area? What did they sell for? What can I expect to pay? How much am I going to have to pay in taxes for this house? What are the repairs like on a house this size? How much are the electric bills and water bills and internet bills each month? These would all be vital statistics. So it's a play on words. Vital Statistics sounds like an ancient Gallic word. It sounds like a word from ancient Gaul, but it really isn't. And it's the name of the chief of the tribe. And he would be in charge of this statistics in the village. Of course, no one in the village is all that brilliant. They're kind of silly characters, but were he in charge of the statistics in the village, he would be in charge of the vital statistics. In your town, there's probably a department of your village, your town, or your city that maintains the charts showing the statistics about your city and about your town. There's a site called citydata.com. I'll link it or post it here in the video. You can go there and you can read the vital statistics about your town. Okay, finally, Vital Statistics, the chief of the tribe. He's the head of the tribe. He is the most important person in the tribe. He is the chief. He's the mayor. He is the man in charge of the tribe of Gauls. Remember, the tribe of Gauls that are resisting the Romans. The Romans have taken over all of Gaul except for this one little tribe, and these guys are resisting, and Vital Statistics is their chief. He's majestic, he's brave, and he's hot-tempered. So we refer to kings and queens as your majesty, and this would be a term showing respect or honor to a king or a queen. To say your majesty, we're showing respect and honor to the king or the queen or to the royal family. He is majestic. He gives off royal vibes, we might say in English. He's brave. He's not afraid. He is full of courage. And he is hot-tempered. Hot-tempered means he's angry. He's easily angered. It doesn't take much to make Vital Statistics angry. He's hot-tempered. The old warrior is respected by his men, and he is feared by his enemies. Okay, let's talk a little bit about English grammar here. Okay, in English, when the subject is performing the action, that is an active sentence. So for example, take a look at this. We have enemies here. The enemies, that's the subject of the sentence. And I always underline the enemies, or I always underline the subject one time. The enemies, what are they doing? They are fearing. That is the verb. And I always double underline the verb. The enemies fear. And I put a V above it for fear. What are they doing? They fear him. He is receiving the action. In English, when something receives the action, it's the direct object, and I always put it in a box to indicate to my students that it's a direct object. So above it, we'll write DO for direct object. Whose enemies? His enemies. That is a pronoun, and it is describing enemies. So I always use an arrow when we have an adjective describing something else. This is a possessive pronoun, but it's also an adjective. So this is an active sentence. And it's an active sentence because the subject, enemies, is performing the action. They're doing the sentence, so to speak. They're fearing Vital Statistics. In the story, we used a passive sentence. And in a passive sentence, we have the exact same sentence. His enemies feared him. He is feared by his enemies. The sentiment, the thought, the idea is exactly the same. But in this case, we take the direct object and we make the direct object the subject of the sentence. So here we have he, subject of the sentence. He is feared. That is a verb phrase. Feared is the main verb. Is a helping verb. That's a verb phrase. Double underline it because it's a verb. And then we have by, preposition. By whom? By his enemies. That's the object of the preposition. And I always put prepositional phrases in parenthesis like this. So he is feared by his enemies. By whose enemies? By his enemies. There's that possessive pronoun adjective again. Since it's an adjective, we use an arrow. This is a passive sentence. Notice how wordy this passive sentence is. The active sentence has 4 words in it, and the passive sentence has 6 words in it. In English, we're often reminded by writers to write with active sentences. Active sentences make our writing more powerful. They make our writing stronger. Now, you can use both, and both sentences mean the same thing. Just remember that active sentences are a little more to the point and a little stronger than passive sentences. In the story here, we have a passive sentence. So the old warrior, subject of the sentence, he is respected. Respected is the verb. Is a helping verb. Is respected is a passive sentence. It's a verb phrase. He is respected by his men, and he is feared, another passive verb, by his enemies. So if we wanted to change this and make it an active sentence, we could say, his enemies fear him, and his men respect him. When it comes to Vital Statistics, his enemies fear him, and his men respect him. Vital Statistics himself has only one fear. He is afraid of only one thing. He is afraid the sky may fall on his head tomorrow. But as he always says, tomorrow never comes. So this is a little joke. Tomorrow never does come. So if you think about it, tomorrow never arrives because today is today and tomorrow is tomorrow, but tomorrow will be today when it gets here. So tomorrow never comes. And Vital Statistics is afraid the sky is going to fall on his head. This may be a reference to the famous English story Chicken Little, where a chicken saw an eclipse taking place and he ran around the barnyard panicking, telling everyone that the sky was falling, that it was the end of the world. When someone's afraid in English of the sky falling, they're talking about the end of the world. They're afraid of the end of the world. I've lived a long time, and I'm old enough to know that there's always some segment of society who is constantly freaking out, constantly afraid, constantly terrified about the end of the world. The only thing is, it never comes. And as soon as, if they say, let's say they say the end of the world is coming on June 12th. And then June 12th comes and it goes and nothing happens. It's a normal day. Those people will not say, oh, I was wrong. I'm going to go back to work and I'm going to pay my bills and I'm going to continue on with my life. They never say I was wrong. They always move the date out. No, the world is coming to an end on August 24th. August 24th comes and goes. The world is coming to an end on November the 11th. These people are afraid that the sky is falling. And there's a segment of society that is always afraid the sky is falling. And Vital Statistics in our story is one of those guys. He's a brave leader. He's a brave chief. But he has this irrational fear that the end of the world is coming. That's it for the characters. We are now going to jump into the story, finally, of Asterix the Gaul. Thanks for watching, guys.